Who knew that Disney was interested in accusing themselves? Well, we've seen it happen before, but this time, they're way out in left field, and we mean the left part seriously. It turns out that in their defense against Gina Carano, in their attempt to dismiss the lawsuit, their motion to dismiss says basically that Disney agrees with Mark Hamill, Pedro Pascal, and the other wacko lefties, and they don't like moderates, they don't like conservatives. Are we reaching a little too far? Are we reading too much into this? Watch the video, see if you agree.
And let's remember from the D-Files that one of the things that was revealed was that they figured they'd get rid of the old fuddy-duddies who knew what they were doing by making the atmosphere at work so uncomfortable for them that they would leave on their own. That's what they tried with Gina, and she didn't take the hint.
So, Ron, what we have been discussing, and you tell us what you think about this, we were talking about the first two points of this movement to dismiss, this motion to dismiss. And the second point says the First Amendment protects Disney's decision to disassociate Carano and her controversial speech from its own protected speech in The Mandalorian. And what we thought is that intrinsically, this then says that because Disney is not trying to disassociate from Pedro Pascal and Mark Hamill and others that we could bring up, that apparently they believe those types of communications, vile as they might be, are not the kind of speech that's controversial and needs to be removed to protect the Mandalorian. So, do you think that's embedded intrinsically in this statement, Ron? That Disney is taking a particular side in partisanship?
Of course it is. Of course it is, but they're entitled to. They're allowed to do that.
Except in the state of California. Could you explain to the audience why that's different?
They can take, all right, so they can take a position, and as everyone has observed, they've taken a position and they're standing on that position for purposes of their motion to dismiss, which is a big thing. And as you and I discussed earlier, it's a thing that may come back to bite them, on the tail later. But yes, in California, you can have a position, but that position can't be an excuse for you to penalize, discipline, whatever the verbiage was, an employee for political activity.
Well said. Lou, any thoughts on that based on your experience in Hollywood and how things are handled in a political sense?
Well, we know what side of the aisle politically Hollywood is on, but there is this little pesky thing called the law, which I understand, Ron, that in your earlier chat you said it was this California law was invented to protect the commies, and it was. So
yeah, Lou, you should know that pretty well. Are
you insinuating Lou is a commie now? Lou, I can't believe you say
no.
I'm saying that Lou knew exactly who the commies were.
Oh, sure.
And
I made a list and checked it twice to find out who was naughty and who was nice.
So there's this little thing called the law. Disney does have kind of First Amendment rights. First Amendment associational rights, hard, as I mentioned again in our earlier discussion, hard to really make the case, certainly on a motion to dismiss, that the public associates what Gina Carano says as being something that Disney says. On the other hand, they could say, well, this is the kind of conduct from Disney people. Is Gina Carano really Disney people? That Disney tolerates. So that's a legitimate corporate value. Has it stack up against this legislative decision? That probably is going to remain to be seen. And again, I do think that the specifics of the employee relationship might be part of what ends up getting put into play here.
And folks, we are at the end yet again. Despair not, though, for we shall return. Videos every single day, 10:30 a.m., 3:30 p.m., 7:30 p.m., all of those Eastern time. And folks, don't forget that the Pro Show is live Tuesdays at noon Eastern, as well as sometimes Thursdays at 5